When the last time you had to worry about a chemical weapons attack? One more question. When was the last time you had to worry about your American government attacking you? This is everyday life in Syria. My thesis statement on this topic is that chemical weapons in Syria is a prominent problem because it's against international law, the high amount of civilian deaths, and no U.S. intervention. My first thought was that isn't chemical weapon use illegal? Well, it turns out that in 1968, every continent signed the Chemical Weapons Act, which therefore made construction and use of chemical weapons illegal unless agreed upon by the United Nations. The chemical weapons use that Syria has been doing hasn't been agreed upon by the United Nations. In fact, the United Nations wants them to stop their use of the chemical weapons against their civilians. They're using their chemical weapons against civilians because the dictator al-Bashir Assad has seen what has happened in the Arab Spring, and he doesn't want that to happen to him. Which means that he doesn't want to get overthrown from his dictatorship, because what happened in the Arab Spring is that someone lit themselves on fire and started a rebellion and got their dictator overthrown out of the government. Also, the rebel groups have been striking back against the Syrian government, which led to the Syrian government striking the rebels and civilians, and just they have been striking the civilians without any warning, just because the rebel groups have been striking them back. This visual shows area attacked on August 21st. These 13 areas were attacked, but the way the chemical weapons strike, every area around the intended target was affected. These chemical weapons range out from 150 miles to 200 miles around wherever they landed, which means all of these innocent people were attacked in different areas. Also, the UN has wanted al-Bashir Assad to hand over his chemical weapons, which hasn't happened yet, but it's a work in progress, and 90% of the chemical weapons have been removed to this date. My second topic is on how there has been a high amount of civilian deaths. There have been over 100,000 civilian deaths, and that's in counting. In this visual, there shows 16,607 people that were killed in a span of 454 days. That's not just like a really weird number in Syria. This is an everyday thing. If they were to keep more statistics on like superiorly when the war had originally started to this date, there would probably be over, I researched this, 175,000 people killed to this date. Also, my third topic is on how there's been no U.S. intervention. Barack Obama has been quoted saying that the chemical weapons in Syria is a game changer, and when they cross the line, we'll deal with them. Well, when's the line going to be crossed? When it reaches 250,000, maybe 300,000? Because the way the U.S. government is moving, they won't intervene until Syria decides that there's enough. Also, the U.S. has been making excuses for a long time about how they will intervene and when they will intervene. At first, everyone was thinking when the death toll climbed up to 100,000, not even 100,000, I'm sorry, 65,000. That's when everybody thought the U.S. would have intervened in this war, but they still haven't. And Barack Obama, he wants to, but the secretary, the board of senators, they don't want him to get his fingers dirty. And also, the U.S. is known to go where the money is, and there isn't really much money to be made in Syria. Also, al-Bashir Assad has threatened to strike the U.S. if they try to intervene. That might be a reason why the U.S. hasn't intervened yet, but I still believe that they should intervene. Therefore, if al-Bashir Assad gives up his chemical weapons or just steps down from dictatorship, then this problem will be resolved, and no one else will have to die in Syria.